Welcome to the DIY Honda Garage channel. The DTC P0705 indicates an issue with the transmission range switch, which relays the current position of the shift lever to the vehicle's transmission control module, TCM. This component is essential, as it informs the TCM which gear the vehicle is in. For instance, park, reverse, neutral, drive, and others. Located within the transmission assembly, the range switch interacts directly with the shift mechanism, ensuring that transmission functions properly according to the selected gear. Importantly, a fault in this circuit cannot stem from mechanical issues within the transmission, but is rather an electrical problem. The vehicle must be assessed to confirm if the failure relates to poor connections or a malfunctioning range switch. It's crucial for safe driving, as it helps ensure that the vehicle does not mistakenly engage a gear while stationary or accelerate unintentionally. The DTC P0705, known as Transmission Range Switch Multiple Shift Position Input Error, reveals a malfunction in the transmission range switch that communicates gear selection to the TCM. The components involved include the ATP switch, ATR switch, ATN switch, ATD switch, and others that correspond to their respective gear positions. These switches are located on the transmission assembly and are essential for indicating what position the gear lever is in. When the range switch is working correctly, each switch will produce a specific signal consistent with the gear selected. This code indicates that there is an inconsistency in the signals, which suggests an electrical problem, urging inspectors to focus on connections and signal outputs rather than any mechanical faults inside the transmission itself. Several possible causes can lead to the P0705 code being triggered. Firstly, the most common problem is an electrical circuit issue, which affects the signals being sent from various switches within the transmission range assembly. This could indicate a short or an open circuit, affecting how signals are transmitted. Additionally, poor connections at plug terminals or circuit boards could lead to unreliable signals, causing erroneous readings at the TCM. Loose terminals, whether due to corrosion or mechanical disconnection, can also mimic failure conditions, and thus all connections should be thoroughly inspected. These explanations provide good starting points for diagnosing the DTC, enabling a more systematic approach to troubleshooting. When the P0705 code is present, drivers may notice several symptoms that indicate malfunctions in the transmission operation. A common sign is that the check engine light will illuminate on the dashboard. Additionally, one may experience erratic transmission behavior, including harsh shifting or unexpected changes in gear, which can lead to inconsistent performance on the road. In severe cases, the vehicle may exhibit an inability to shift into certain gears altogether, complicating normal driving conditions. These symptoms not only affect drivability, but can also pose safety concerns, especially if the transmission does not respond in critical situations, such as stopping or accelerating. As such, if these signs are evident, investigating the root cause of the DTC P0705 becomes imperative. The first step in troubleshooting DTC P0705 begins with turning the vehicle ignition to the on position without starting the engine. This sets up the vehicle for diagnosing the electrical signals from the transmission range switch. Using the Honda Diagnostic System, HDS, you should compare the actual signal inputs from the transmission range switch against a predefined table found in the vehicle's service manual. Check the current conditions for each gear position: park, reverse, neutral, drive, sport, and low, ensuring accurate signal output corresponds with the expected outcomes. If the signals confirm alignment with the specifications, then the system appears functional. However, if discrepancies arise, This indicates a malfunction that necessitates further investigation into the transmission range switch and connecting circuitry. Continuing the troubleshooting process for DTC P0705. The second step involves another round of signal checks with the HDS. After ensuring the ignition is in the on position, once again verify the signals from the transmission range switch. This step requires comparing the current signal readings for each possible gear position to the expected results. If you observe that multiple signals are indicating on incorrectly across all gear positions, it flags an abnormality that must be recorded. When confirmed, this can lead to further analysis to isolate the specific circuit or switch causing the malfunction. However, if no abnormal signals are present, you will proceed to the next step in the troubleshooting process, as the initial checks yield inconclusive results. In the third step of troubleshooting, you'll power off the vehicle and disconnect the transmission range switch 10P connector. This action isolates the transmission range switch from the electrical and signaling systems. Once disengaged, the next task is to take a jumper wire and connect the terminal that previously showed an on indication incorrectly in the reports from Step 2 to ground. This setup will help in validating whether the switch can positively affirm each signal when grounded. After making this connection, power the vehicle back on and check with the HDS to determine if the respective signal changes state as expected. Observing the signals following this grounding will provide data to either confirm the operation of the range switch or indicate further electrical issues if they do not change. After completing Step 3, you'll proceed to Step 4 by once again turning the vehicle to the off position. This ensures safety while working near electronic components. The next task is to remove the shift position indicator panel, which allows you access to the inner wiring and connections. With the vehicle in the on mode, use the HDS to compare the signal inputs of the transmission range switch against established parameters. If the findings indicate that multiple shift position signals remain active, that suggests that the shift position indicator is functioning correctly. However, if discrepancies arise, it indicates that there is a short circuit in the wiring. Thus, direct repairs should be undertaken to rectify any issues observed during this inspection. In Step 5, your first action involves turning the vehicle off before reconnecting the transmission range switch 10P connector to ensure that all circuits are intact. Following that, power the vehicle back on to check again for the range switch signals input with the HDS tool. This round of checks will allow you to identify if any of the switch signals persist in showing on, which is a critical indicator of their state. If the switch shows an on status continuously across the expected circuit ranges, it generally indicates that the transmission range switch and its functionalities are likely still intact and operational. If not, this could signal that a replacement of the range switch is necessary to restore functionality. Step 6 involves powering off the vehicle icon to disable all electrical components before safely removing the shift position indicator panel once again. This removal is critical for thorough inspection of the internal wiring directly associated with the transmission range switch signal. Once the engine is set to on, you are tasked with measuring the signals via the HDS once again to compare against the expected norms. Observing whether any signals remain on could inform whether the shift position indicator itself is functioning without fault. If die-off signals reflect accurately, the system is likely working. However, if they are inconsistent, it's a strong indication that the shift position indicator panel requires replacement to restore proper readings. As you reach Step 7 in the troubleshooting process, it's essential to begin by turning off the vehicle. After the vehicle is powered down, disconnect the TCM 50P connector to allow inspection of the transmission control module. With the TCM unconnected, the next step is to check for continuity in the circuit that remained on during the previous tests. This test is critical as it provides insights into whether the affected circuit is indeed shorted to ground. If you find continuity, it indicates a problematic wire connection that needs immediate repair. However, if no such issues are found in the wires, the final step would require you to review further diagnostics or consider substituting with a known good TCM to ascertain where the fault lies. Final repair verification is critical post-repair of the P0705 code to confirm that all issues have been resolved. This involves conducting a thorough test drive of the vehicle, following any repair work to ensure that the transmission behaves as intended under real-world conditions. Testing should include checking for the illumination of the check engine light and verifying that there are no recurring DTCs, particularly P0705. Further, during the test drive, it's important to revisit the input signals through the HDS to confirm that all parameters are accurate and align with expected ranges. Successful completion of these checks would indicate that the issue has been resolved effectively, enabling safe operation of the vehicle again. Preventive maintenance is essential not only to avoid the recurrence of DTC P0705, but also to maintain the overall health of your Honda Civic. A key aspect is to regularly inspect all connectors associated with the transmission range switch, ensuring they are clean and free of corrosion. Corroded terminals can lead to poor connectivity, which may trigger fault codes. Keeping all electrical connections in optimal condition will significantly decrease the likelihood of unexpected DTCs arising. Moreover, monitoring the shift behavior during normal operation helps spot any irregularities early on. Staying ahead with such routine checks can save you both time and expenses in the long run, ensuring a smooth and reliable driving experience. In conclusion, troubleshooting DTC P0705 requires a thorough understanding of the transmission range switch's role and communication with the TCM. By carefully following the systematic steps outlined, one can effectively identify the root causes of the problem, whether it's a faulty switch or issues along the electrical circuit. Each phase, from checking signal outputs to ensuring all connections are clean, establishes a robust method for diagnosing and fixing faults effectively. It's also crucial to verify all repairs through practical tests to ensure that the transmission operates as expected. Lastly, by implementing preventive maintenance practices, you can help mitigate future issues related to this DTC, allowing for a smoother driving experience and potentially saving on repairs down the line. Please like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.